All right, Shalom. First and foremost, all praise, honor, and glory is to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai. Again, all praise, honor, and glory is due to the Heavenly Father and His beloved Son for being gracious and merciful enough to bestow His knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of these scriptures upon us. Because when you look at the state of these so-called Christians and false pastors and preachers and how far off the mark they are concerning the scriptures, it should give you more and more incentive to thank and praise the Heavenly Father and His beloved Son. Okay? I also want to give double honors to the apostles of Great Millstone, the men whom we believe the Heavenly Father raised up in these last days to establish His word, and to all you Akim that's doing likewise, continuing in that legacy. Shalom. So I want to entitle this sitting, Sacrelige of the Slothful. See, if you're a guy out there that's scratching your head and wondering what's your office and should you be teaching His word, well, the simple answer to that is if the Heavenly Father was merciful enough to open you up to the understanding of these scriptures, then that's your cue. Okay? That's your cue to go out and teach this word. You don't need another man to sit you down and do a thorough examination over you and come up to the conclusion, well, now you're ready to teach, go get them. Okay? It don't work like that. If the Most High open you up to the understanding of these scriptures, then that's your cue to go out and teach. Otherwise, you're going to be considered slothful, which will make you guilty of sacrilege. And for all those who don't know the meaning of that word sacrilege, well, I got it queued up, all right, from the online etymology dictionary. And it reads, crime of stealing what is consecrated to the Most High. Temple robbery, a stealing of sacred things. Stealer of sacred things. To steal sacred things. See, when you have this knowledge and you're not pushing it out, then you're guilty of stealing from the Most High. And it's spiritual because when you go to the Middle East, and one of their customs is if you are caught stealing, they usually cut your hand off. And in this truth, if you are counted as slothful or guilty of sacrilege, which means stealing from the Most High, then what happens? Yahweh shall cut you off from the body. See how spiritual it is? All right? So, with that, I'm going to just get right into it. This is Jeremiah chapter 23, and starting at verse 29. Is not my word like as a fire, saith the Lord, and like a hammer that breaketh the rock in pieces? Right? When you consider the prophet Jeremiah, he pretty much came to the conclusion that he would no more mention the name of the Lord, meaning he said he was not going to teach anymore. But he realized that the words of the Lord was like a fire. He said the words of the Lord is like a fire in my bones, which means he couldn't contain it. So if you had this truth, if you truly had the words of the Lord, then you're going to speak, you're going to teach, okay? Verse 30, therefore, behold, I am against the prophets, saith the Lord, that steal my words, every one from his neighbor. Yeah, and this don't mean you ear hustle another brother and you steal his ideas and you do a video. No, this talking about if the Lord give you this knowledge, you got to push it out. For an example, when you was a kid and your uncle came by, he gave you and your brother $1. Your brother might have been in the backyard. And if you didn't get that dollar to your brother, then you just stole from your uncle. Okay? And that's the same sentiment here in this truth. The Lord freely give you this knowledge, and it's your duty to push it out to your fellow Israelites. This is the book of Matthew chapter 10, and starting at verse 5. These 12 Yahweh Shai sent forth and commanded them, saying, go into the Salakia, go not into the way of the Gentiles, and into any city of the Samaritans enter ye not, but go rather to the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And as ye go, preach, saying the kingdom of heaven is at hand. And that rings volumes to this day. That commandment still stands from Yahweh Shai. We ought to go out and preach and teach this word, whether by going out on the highways and hedges and uploading these videos constantly. Verse 8, heal the sick, cleanse the lepers, raise the dead, cast out devils. And that's what we do. We heal the sick. When another brother come in, he's healed by the word. We cleanse the lepers. We raise the dead, which is a fulfillment of Ezekiel the 37th chapter, the valley of the dry bones. When you come into this truth, you have just escaped the congregation of the dead, okay? It says, freely ye have received, freely give. So you got this knowledge, wisdom, and understanding of the scriptures freely from the Most High. It wasn't nothing you did. It wasn't by your own strength. None of us was perfect. None of us really was worthy enough to get this word. But the Lord saw fit for certain men out of the whole nation of Israel, thousands and millions of Israelites, the Lord saw fit to freely give you this understanding. But what's the terms of the contract? Now you are to freely give. Otherwise, you're guilty of sacrilege, or in other words, stealing from the Most High, which again is a capital offense. Okay? Stand in the book of Matthew, the 25th chapter, starting at the 14th verse. For the kingdom of heaven is as a man traveling into a far country, who called his own servants and delivered unto them his goods. And what is his goods? This gospel. By the way, the word gospel means what? The good news. So the Lord delivered to you the good news. Okay? Verse 15. And unto one he gave 5 talents, to another 2, and to another 1, to every man according to his several ability, and straightway took his journey. Right, so this understanding of the scriptures, the spirit has been dispersed by measure. Each man get according to his ability. So if you can't break down certain things, you can't get all deep into it like the apostles, or maybe your camp head, yet if you got whatever measure of talents, you still got to push that, okay? Verse 16, then he that had received the 5 talents went and traded with the same, and made them other 5 talents. And likewise he that had received 2, he also gained other 2. But he that had received 1 went and digged in the earth and hid his Lord's money. Meaning he stole from the Lord. Because that money was given unto you to flip it, just to simplify it. Okay? And what's so heavy about our Lord Yahushua, he put it in this context because he know Jake. All right? Whether you was a gangster, a drug dealer or not, being Jake, you come from that background. These different movies, everybody didn't watch American Gangster or New Jack City, or, you know, Paid in Full. So you know the essence, if you will, of how Jake get down. You know the essence of flipping money. That's why the Lord put it in this parable. Verse 19, and after a long time the Lord of those servants cometh and reckoned with them. And so he that had received 5 talents came and brought other 5 talents, saying, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 5 talents. Behold, I have gained beside them 5 talents more. His Lord said unto him, well done, thou good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into the joy of thy Lord. He also that had received the 2 talents came and said, Lord, thou deliverest unto me 2 talents. Behold, I have gained 2 other talents besides them. His Lord said unto him, well done, good and faithful servant. Thou hast been faithful over a few things. I will make thee ruler over many things. Enter thou into thy joy of thy Lord. Then he which had received the 1 talent came and said, Lord, I knew thee that thou art an hard man, reaping what thou hast not sown, and gathering what thou hast not strawed. And I was afraid, and went and hid thy talent in the earth. Lo, there thou hast that is thine. His Lord answered and said unto him, Thou wicked and slothful servant, thou knewest that I reap where I sowed not, and gather where I have not strawed. Meaning you knew this word. You knew me. Because the Lord come in the volume of the book. Right? So the Lord said, you knew this knowledge. You knew all about me. Thou oughtest therefore to have put my money to the exchangers, and then at my coming I should have received mine own with usury. Right? You could have put it in the bank. You could have flipped the money, meaning the little talent you got, you could put up videos, and that video would gain people will slowly start watching it. You can bring in people by the internet, even if, somehow you didn't go out on the highways and hedges. Maybe it was because you don't have a camera, whatever it might be. But the Lord was basically saying you at least could have did that. Not saying that you're going to be delivered just by doing that, because you got to do the perfect will of the Most High. You got to do the perfect will. You can't do it halfway. You can't just do it your way. Verse 28, take therefore the talent from him and give it unto him which have 10 talents. For every one that have shall be given, and he shall have abundance. But for him that have not shall be taken away even that which he have. And cast ye the unprofitable servant into outer darkness, there shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. So at the end of the day, if you're not doing his work and you found to be sacrilege, Salakia, which means a thief, you stealing from the Lord, then you're going to be cast out into outer darkness. Means you're going to be cast right back out into the world. You're going to be cast away from this light. So it's a very important thing in this parable, stresses the sense of urgency of doing the work right here. That's what this thing is all about, doing the work. That's your duty. That's why you on the planet. It tells you that in Ecclesiastes, the 12th chapter. This is the duty of man, to fear his commandment. And what's the commandment of Yahweh Shah? To love the sheep, to feed the sheep. If you love me, you will keep my commandments. And what was the commandments the Lord gave to Peter? To feed my lambs. So now you see the sense of urgency that comes along with doing the work. This the thing that gets you cast into outer darkness, okay? So yeah, I hope there was an edifying lesson. Until the next time I say shalom.